time, let's move on to another topic. You and I did an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal a few months back, pretty controversial op-ed on immigration. I wonder if you'd talk a little bit about the issue of make or buy, and what I mean by make or buy here is one way to produce human capital is to produce it yourself in the United States, another is to buy it from abroad by bringing in immigrants who have a lot of human capital. We thought a little bit about one way to do that effectively. Perhaps you could explain that and talk about that in the broader context. Obviously, immigration is going to be a big issue in Washington for the next probably few months at least. So.
Well, it should be a big issue because it's really important. What I like to think about it, Eddie, is it's not make or buy, it's make and buy. And that should be the optimal policy. We should be improving our domestic educational policy. We went through that already. I'm not going to go through that again. But in addition to that, the U.S. has always been a country that attracted a lot of people who were, abroad, and some of them educated abroad, and who wanted to come to this country for the opportunities that we provide. And we were welcoming for a long period of time. One time anybody could come. Most of us, we don't have to go back very far and find our parents were immigrants. My parents were immigrants, both of them. I came separately. My father went to Canada first and then came to the United States. My mother, her family came to the United States. And then I was fortunate enough that they met. I'll tell you, I won't go into the rest of it, but we all have experiences like that. Nothing unique about that. We made it tough for a lot of people to come to this country. And still, it's the #1 place where people want to come to. Because it's still a country where it's easiest. You know, my wife is an immigrant to this country. She was born in Baghdad. I mean, I shouldn't mention Baghdad, she was Iranian, but that's what she is. And she came to this country. And we make it difficult. I see how difficult her brothers found. She went to school here, so she found it real easy. But we make it difficult for people like her to be coming to this country. And we need to get more people coming to this country. We're a pretty empty country. People say, well, we have too many people. We're an empty country. Just fly over the United States. You're flying all the time, Eddie. There's nobody down there. It's an empty country. So how people can say we have too many people in this country, it's talking nonsense. You just see so much nonsense being spoken on important subjects like that. Now, the way I see policy, what we wrote about, what I've written about further, what you've written about further, is you need to have a policy where you can attract, one, skilled people who want to come. People want to come to get skills. Unskilled people want to come because they're ambitious. They want to work hard. They want an opportunity to work hard, and maybe their kids will go further. What's the best way to attract those kind of people? Okay. We can't go back, in my judgment, to the days of open immigration. I think the welfare state has really made that an impossible policy. On the other hand, we can do things that can well attract a lot of people of all types. I think the #1 policy, if I had my druthers, would be what we advocated: sell the right to immigrate. Not to just some elite entrepreneurs who pay $500,000 to come here. We do some of that. Canada does more of that. Australia does more of that. Switzerland does that. That's fine. That's only, you're dealing at the 4th or 5th standard deviation from the mean of people you're trying to get. So yeah, you don't want an elitist type of policy like that. You want a policy that applies to everybody. So let everybody who can pay a certain amount come. And I'll come to some of the complications in a moment. I'll try to do this briefly. But who will be attracted? Young people, because they are going to be a longer period of time. It's worth more to pay. More skilled people, because the gain is greater for more skilled people. Ambitious people, who, yeah, maybe they may not do so well, but they know their kids will do well. People who want to free a society. I mean, all the things that you'd like to have among people, and people want to make a commitment. They want to stay in this country, maybe not their whole lifetime, but for a long period of time, so it's a good investment. And so suppose we were charging $50,000, that's a figure that we take out of the hat, one can use it just a point of departure. And you might say, well, not everybody has $50,000. Of course, not everybody has $50,000. So you have to have a system where people can put a down payment. To use a term they love in Washington, you need some skin in the game. So you need some skin in the game. People have to put a down payment down, $5,000 to $10,000, something like that. And then they borrow the rest. How do they borrow the rest? They might need an important role for government, just like we have a student loan problem. And a student loan problem is a student loan policy is a policy of investing in human capital. An immigration loan problem, a policy, is a policy of investing in human capital. It's a different type of investment, but it's an important investment. The rationale you give for a student loan policy for education applies equally well to immigrants. You have to work out the details. You can work out the details. I won't go into details if anybody wants to discuss them. But that would be the #1 way to do it. We'd get the right mix. People would be less hostile to immigrants because they're paying their way. Nobody could say they're not paying their way. They'd be paying their way. I wouldn't say there'd be no hostility. There'd still be hostility, but be less hostility. We'd be taking more immigrants in because there's less hostility. It'd be great for the human capital of the country. We'd be just great for the country. Just great for the country in general. So we should have a much more open immigration policy. And it really pains me when I see some of the people in Congress in Washington, some of whom I agree with on some issues, and taking such an anti-immigration policy. It's narrow-minded, it's self-defeating, and it's really harmful, I think, to the future of the United States.
All right, I'm going to ask you